Declaring what the outcome of your future could possibly be like can set you in for many things to achieve the goal that you want to reach. In this day and age, it's important to know what your days upon images could look like if you're willing to put your mind at ease and block out the negative energy that is spreading throughout the blue and white globe we call Earth. We live in such a strange period of time where we are entitled to anything we can create with a form of influence being borrowed from a stretch of history. And the thing about that is that it can repeat itself with an instant response for what it's worth. You can take a prime example from me, that in today's world you can see almost everything happening throughout the lens of glasses in any object you can find. Like we're living in a timeline where anything can happen in the blink of an eye and any second there is to count. There are things that are built for privacy persuasion, but somehow end up in the public view. People find ways to cope with the feeling that no matter what you go through in life, there's a chance of seeing a mixed perception from the outside range of people that could influence you in the way that you look at things. No matter how creative you can be, there's multiple ways to paint your interest and sell it to the public domain of constructional opinions. And this would also include the inventions of many things throughout the history of pop culture, along with the events that have took place from the positive and negative aspects of life. Like for example, the international environmental movement that continues the products of global trade throughout mobile devices, or witnessing the external tragedies of opinionated executions for unforeseen circumstances out of underlying prospects.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Oh my god.
Go, run, run.
The transparency is filled with doubling down on the most important things you witness. It can be done with overwhelming confidence. But with that in mind, it could help lead you to a better path that is filled with better opportunities for what you see. And what do I call that specific opportunity to experience, you may ask? It's called independence, the most important part of living life. This is the story to my rise of an independent lifestyle. Feel free to take notes if you want to explore more about my life and how I choose to maneuver through the obstacles of making better life decisions to fulfill my dreams. I have a collection of positive memories to share in my end of the light years. And when you leave this video today, I hope you do as well. I've been completely open about the choices that I make to meet the odds to a better focus point that supports my independent journey. It may seem like it's not a good view on some parts through some things, but it is worth a good time to fill myself in on what kind of pressure that comes with it. Most of us don't know what to do with our life independently, but if we focus on the right path that could bring us closer to a goal set with freedom line of index release, then it will be a good chance to live longer without getting stuck in a negative cycle of unfortunate consequences. Letting your mind feel exclusive to the positive side of independent tendencies is what can add better fuel to the story of what you tell. I feel better about most things in life, but I failed to realize how much meaning it has for not purposefully taking it serious throughout my early years of adulthood. There were things that were taught to me with fashion, but also some things that were left unwatered, and it feels unsuccessfully motivated. Like having a feeling of not knowing things that your people were supposed to teach you, the facts about life and other things that you really need to know before you move on with your own life instead. And I know, it can be really tricky. But I can sense a bit of local pride with a handful of details with my own personal experience with the life that I choose to live. I could have had a much better time learning about the true nature of life while exploring new things that could set me free with resilient parts of unmasking the true me. Have you ever thought to yourself, is freedom here in the best way to express myself without feeling threatened outside of my own mindset? And your best answer is no. It's called using consistent thinking to know what your chances are with a self-reflecting system. If you hear others out without interruption, you can feel the independent voices being used around you. With good or bad intentions, let them decide that. Emotionally feeling the impact of the freedom that you asked for is the same kind of feeling that is shown with grace and compassion. The most important instructions to use is with better guidance and understanding to live a life that is a blessing to keep. With more things having a better infiltration, with a local sacrifice to gatekeep sometimes, independence is a public-private option to utilize. I feel like more things should be addressed with a more formal manner, even if it isn't reliable for a better standard of living credit. With all that in mind, it falls under pressure to know the values of my life completing a certain level of complexities. I feel the remorse of a comeback to know what I want to do in my life and career altogether. The safe factor of my choices have better understanding. I know the best answer to what can resemble my entire personality with bank holding achievements. One thing for sure is that I will use my independent trait to pursue a higher degree with a lawful simply to make matters worth. It's worth loving the process to fulfilling my dreams. I had a moment to see myself engaging with a self-righteous feeling. It's worth the most with life changes. If these walls could talk, it would tell me to enlighten myself, to focus more on my craft, to persuade better improvements so that I won't get caught behind on some things. Man, if these walls could talk. And they did. They told me to get back to my educational levels with better enhancement. It took me 3 years after graduating high school to figure out what I want to do in my life and how I want to succeed it. The only reason why I wasn't able to is because of some traumatic experiences that occurred to me a few years ago, and it was hard to escape them, year by year. I was in desperate need to seek professionalism back into my daily cycle of living brigades. The stories that connect to me feels like a better center to reach if I fill in the gaps of the void of unfortunate fear factors. I could use my knowledgeable intakes to surface back to the realities of the real world without pinpointing the less fortunate comforts of the native mystification. Like you could put that energy into anything you want to succeed in life, with independent thoughts ready to set you free to mature and conquer. Set yourself in to make history, and possibly become a known figure of that specific history in your nature of human activity. Your confidence of education matters to the best of your ability to find yourself. Even if you try to find a true balance of your life, you still went in with a certain yearning of self-satisfaction to know what effort you bring into the icon. Your luck of emphasizing holds much weight to the pressure, but that pressure can contain anything that is filled with void, insinuation, and a deep desire of imperfection. Many things can become a distraction for your mindset to free the impact of your independent focus. But the thing is, your question of where do you see yourself in 10 years can follow up with anything that is relevant to the topic. Literally no matter what, and that's fine. Like here, when I was asked for one of my assignments if I was in need for assistance throughout some part of the course. Then I was going to tell them that no assistance would be provided throughout the likes of the boldness of studied enabling. Some help may be needed in some cases, but for what comes my way, it's best to go on some solo missions to contain better practice executions. I feel like most of us should learn on our own to seek more knowledge on the basic concepts of the physics of freedom bias rather than do things with help, especially if it doesn't come with positive energy. You may never know who's having a bad day. Time goes by, and it is now officially autumn. Okay, I'll be the first one to say it. I absolutely hate autumn. I really hate autumn. And yeah, I know, it's the most chilliest season of all time. Some people could possibly relate to me not liking it either, or it's just my stance on how I see it. It rains a lot, gets more messy with dead leaves on the ground, it puts me in a bad mood a lot of times during the season. Either way, we have the justification to know what we like or dislike. The only person that can understand the discomfort and frustration throughout the process of what you go through is you. It doesn't take a scientist or a psychologist to know that, but I surely addressed many things with an aggressive approach and wasn't taught with better outlines of communication, with many thoughts running through my head that I am forced to keep inside as a self-defense mechanism. Like words can have many meanings and effects on people, including myself. It's something that is not falsely recognized. Life throws you in a curveball, but it won't throw you in a curveball if you have already suffered from independent drowning. I can mostly think of some things that could fit the description of what I would do if I properly stick to the routine. Sometimes the routines can occur in my life over and over again, numerous times. I feel the need to remind myself that I could do better in life. But throughout half of the time, my thought system seems to be corrupted by the lack of visionary awareness. It feels completely dynamic to know the worth of a person's dedicated life to fulfill with treasuring moments. You see things with a blank quarter, no face, and believe that the person is worth something in life, whether it is in the past or the present. Sometimes you've got to ignore the ones that you completely despise with an ounce of hatred and emotion showing your true dominance. Even with that kind of pressure being hard to overcome with the realist stability to tranquilize. With those who can relate to that progress, the feeling is mutual. These exact questions are still being asked to this very day. Did Christopher Columbus really discover America and bring us to the light side of independence? Were the slaves really free into an unharmed environment that could bring future generations of color together and unite as one? And those questions have no specific value to any coloration of feeling the main historical point to our sense of pride and punishment. One thing that I could also know is that independence also comes with consequences. Freedom is also the definition of having the power to act on anything, but it would be wrong to use that freedom of power for negative resources. With what I said before, intrusive thoughts run inside my head with things that I would want to say or do, even if I regret those specific choices, to keep them bottled inside to prevent sensitive reactions to flounder my way. But only I could take it up with the Lord with Vincent processing, because the Lord, only He knows what's right or what's wrong. Between me and Him, He knows that I have the personal instinct to know that I want to bury that man alive, and to save myself the worst possible outcome of not facing personal fear factors anymore. But with that choice in mind, it was struck upon me to know that I would leave that choice alone, and do the most important thing instead. Let nature do the Lord's work, and have them take its course, without lifting a finger for any negative effect to spin back later. That's the true power of freedom that I know, and that's what truly matters to me, and I hope it matters to you too. Alright, well, today is officially Sunday, and it has been a very long time since I've washed my hair because it's been like, I think it's been since like August, I believe. Like, I haven't actually washed and took care of my hair for a long time. And since now that it is officially autumn and basically everything involved with it, we are now going to officially get back into it because it's been a very long time since I've washed my hair, and I should have actually kept on having a routine of it because I want my hair to actually grow out longer and have like a bigger afro and just put some curls in them, you know, like the picture that I'm showing you guys right here. But yeah, it's been a very long time, and I think it's officially time to get back into it again. You know, I got all the supplements that I need. Like, I use Head and Shoulders to get things, like get the scalp, because it's both a conditioner and the shampoo all at once, so I wanted to like use both of them separately, because if I actually do that, it's just gonna make it like harder for me. You know, it's not really that much harder, but at the same time, it just kind of like dwells on how I can get things done. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention is that I actually used to use this olive oil, which I put on my hair after I get done washing it, and then just like let it see what happens if I like to let the whole thing grow out. But at the same time, it's kind of like when I use this, it gets stuck, so it's not gonna be able to do that much wonders anymore. So basically, this thing means worthless to me. You know, used to be both olive and tea tree oil, which I would use all the time, but I don't think it's gonna do any wonders anymore. And plus, I got a new one that I haven't used in like a long time. It's called a Do Grow Mega Thick Formula type of oil. Yeah, that's what I use now, I believe. I haven't actually tried it, but I'm gonna see what it does, because it says it could actually let my hair grow out big, because I actually do want to have, you know, like big curly hair once again, like with a big afro and stuff. It just actually does like better stuff for me, so I'm gonna see what I can do, because when I try to use the tea tree and the olive oil at the same time, it doesn't do anything, so I'm gonna throw this in the trash. It has like an African Pride logo on it, which doesn't even mean anything anymore. Alright, well, it was fun while it lasted, but sir, you gotta go. Glad that's over with. I'm gonna see what I can do with this. I'm gonna go ahead and open these blinds up. It's looking pretty good outside. Alright, well, here we go. Make sure the water's actually warm a little bit so that I don't have to do it cold, because when I ever try to do it cold, it's just not gonna work out for me. I heard that it can like make the blood flow actually be more easier when it's kind of like in a chill temperature, but for me, I'm kind of like sensitive to that kind of stuff, so it's just not gonna work out for me. Okay, you get the point. But anyways, I feel like the most important thing that solidifies my identity is the shape of my hairstyle. Like, if I wanted to grow to its natural length of the part that is size with my trust of self-conflicting looks, then it shouldn't worry me to that point at all. But I would like to see that in my figurative form of sensation, that corresponding opinions could possibly affect the way that I would look at myself without secondhand mindful thinking. Sometimes I could be scrutinized for looking diamond in the rough without any form of help or any recommendation to help self-care for my lengthy health. Yes, diamond in the rough. You see what I did there? Internal quotations can correlate to an already existing sentence to create double entendres to connect the base. Smart ass talk aside, there's more to connect on this. You know, this is really harder than I thought. For the last time, I actually worked in the shower, but you know how it goes. See, I was just dropping down to my pants and stuff, and I'm about to change them in a second. And I cannot with the self-inflicting embarrassment. Like, is this even real? Well, it really doesn't matter. I can handle this kind of pressure. Anyways, let's move on. To the men out there watching this video, if you are not taking care of yourself, then honestly, what are you doing? Like, what on God's earth are you doing? On God's green earth, you're supposed to be taking care of yourself, because the only way for you to be able to make it past life is to have better self-care, so that you can be more mature and have better approaches with yourself, so that you won't have to go through everything else that can not come your way, like such as the good things that are sometimes often the bad things. Because, you know, if you don't have that much self-care, when you take care of your face, your skin, everything about you, it's not going to look good on your conscience. You know, the worst part about all this is that whenever I still wash my hair, it still comes out looking like this. Like, honestly, I have no idea what it's about. It just comes out like funky looking, despite my hair still not being dry yet because it's still kind of wet. I'm just gonna let it dry out for a little bit and see where it can go, but you know, I'm gonna need some help with that, because honestly, I don't know why it still does that. I think with the finished products, like if I have to use something like this and this little thing here, which could keep my hair straightened out, it would probably be much easier. But at the same time, whenever I don't have to wash my hair, it still comes out funky looking sometimes. I think I have to simmer down for like a few minutes, but you know, I digress. And unfortunately for me, my own words would age poorly as I proceed to go against it, but I got a good excuse to cover up for it. Oh, you're right here. expect anyone else to come through, but whatever. So here we are once again. You probably must have seen that one clip I just put on there in the editor, that I was talking about self-care, that I was talking about men trying to take care of themselves, and that I went against my own word for it because I was just heading down like a dark path when it comes to my mental health. But you know, it's just some things that I can finally clear out now. It just feels more so decent that I can finally just let things out with better repercussions instead of having like negative influences keep on being brought upon me, because that's kind of like the thing I've been saying throughout the longest. But at least now finally I can get things out of the way. Could be like a good possible plan for me to just like take a break, come back and get my real consistency build up once again, because I've kind of lost it. And there's a real reason why I've made that documentary that I did back in like during the summer of this year, and that 2025, you know, I've been through so much this year. I feel like I finally put things to rest. I can finally move on with my life and just make sure that things like this won't happen again, because I've been through this many times. But I feel like now with the best freedom of impact, I can now finally put things into better retrospective and not try to make it feel that it's going to make things much worse from now on. You know, I have a good plan for myself in the future. Like maybe when I finally get financially stable here, I can pack my bags, get things in shape with my life, and just probably move to Lexington and start my life all over again for better things without having to have any negative influences and resources coming around my way anymore, or something else. But you know, that is what is put on the table. I feel like throughout most of the years, I've took some things for granted. If I had the freedom to do so, I would take the opportunity to go back and fix some things that I felt weren't genuine. Like, I have underlying issues of trust, understanding proper boundaries, and looking into better ways of dealing with negative forms of emotions. Yeah, I may go through some unfortunate situations for possible future repercussions, but at least I'll be capable enough to face it without using the same scare tactics as an escape plan. To be honest, it should be really easy to open up on some things without feeling the need to feel guilty about it. For most case scenarios, it's really the freedom and intentions of living what you want to be heard about. Being focused on the right things in life should be priority number one. Like, you notice every little detail and see that it can change things without any further notice to your visions. I call that an illusion of feelings that can emerge with performance of 50-50 elemental thinking enhancers, with many ways to feel more confident in yourself and uplift others as a sign of growing and improving. Like, I couldn't be more ready to influence for the realist that I can be, and show those out there who can put anything in use as a positive weapon against those who would use it for bad purposes. This is the setback for the people who could create to build an empire for their own happiness and redemption. I could see myself building a whole resume for redemption at life skills and the style of it, and finally teach myself the aspects of what life skills really do for me. I could teach to keep things in mind and use it for the brighter purposes, and never flaunt the idea of turning against the common sense of respectable faithfulness. It comes across as doing yourself a very big favor, and never taking advice from someone who can't respect themselves without pandering and fear. I've looked at some people in a certain type of way and know that their freedom comes in many different shapes of reality. And sometimes I could question what their POV of independent thought processing is like trying to fit like them and see for myself with their habits in mind. But the thing is, I can't really see through with that kind of stuff without proper experience, as it would turn out that I need to figure out the real view of experience for myself. Independence of your lifestyle choices comes within the ones that you make to set yourself free. But independence isn't what others want you to live your life for, because it makes no sense. The only thing that matters to you is to live your own life with what you choose to live for, and not what others want you to live what they want to live for. That is the rise of an independent lifestyle.